Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Hello and welcome into the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. I'm your host tonight, Cassidy Wood. Both Bob Pompiani and Richie Walsh are in Ireland. They experienced a lot of fun today, and the team is headed there now. They were supposed to leave around 7:30 tonight, a slight delay, so they left, I believe, a little after 8. So they're scheduled to get in at 3 a.m. our time, 8 a.m. their time, and then they're going to have a practice. So like Aaron Rodgers said, they're going to stay up essentially all day on Friday and then get to bed on Friday night. So hopefully, you know, it's not too much jet lag. Hi, Chris Mueller joining me tonight. And Chris, kind of a shocking injury report, or I guess practice report that came out today. Both Jaylen Warren and Jonnu Smith were limited today with both, it said resting vet injuries, but also injuries that we didn't really hear about. Apparently Warren dealing with a little bit of a knee injury, and also Smith dealing with, I believe, a hamstring. So a little concerning because, again, we didn't know about this all week. Obviously, that would be a huge loss of Jaylen Warren. I mean, obviously, these guys are likely going to play on Sunday, but Jaylen Warren, he has the most touches on the team right now. So hopefully that guy stays healthy.
In Jaylen Warren's case, Cassidy, the reason that one, if he's compromised at all, I think would be extremely bad news is the obvious, which is that he's their kind of most reliable and consistent offensive player right now. Mm-hmm. And the maybe less obvious, which is that Kenneth Gainwell's a situational player. You're not going to get shades of Mueller Moore from many years ago filling in a pinch and being good. And nobody there really seems all that inclined to give Caleb Johnson a chance to work his way back into their good graces. And I think the problem with this offense over the last, really the whole body of the season, but especially the last two games, is that I think a little too often after Aaron Rodgers took center stage in week 1 and threw those touchdowns and was so opportunistic, it has devolved a little bit back into let's throw the ball or give the ball to 30, hope something good happens, and then go from there, which was kind of what they did in Kenny Pickett's years when Mitch Trubisky was the quarterback. They, other than having Mason Rudolph come in and kind of cook for 3 games, they have done this thing with Jaylen Warren where he just gets a lion's share of the work, and they rely on him more than they probably should when their offense goes bad. So if he's dinged up, I think that's going to really put a cramp in what they want to do, especially, we talked about this yesterday, Cassidy, against a defense with Brian Flores that wants to make you uncomfortable, that wants to take away what you do well, and that sometimes might be most vulnerable, if you throw an easy pass or just give the ball and a handoff to your running back and let him try to go to work.
Yeah, and it's clear, too, that Rodgers is very comfortable with Warren. He is saying a lot of praises for Warren this week especially. And so that's also why it was kind of shocking. So, yeah, that would just be a huge loss. Again, not saying that he's ruled out by any means, but it was a little interesting seeing that on the practice report today, and same with Jonnu Smith. We've said time and time again, it's interesting that the tight ends aren't getting more touches. We thought that was kind of Arthur Smith's offense, and Jonnu is kind of the one that's getting the most out of that group. So him too, if he's limited, that's going to be scary for this offense, because who else are they going to go to? I mean, DK, hopefully.
Well, I mean, they want to go to DK Metcalf, and I'm sure that Calvin Austin, I think you got a sign that Aaron Rodgers trusts him and did not hold the gaffe in week 2 against him because he went to him for the winning touchdown. I don't know about you, Cassidy, but I thought one of the most interesting things that happened today was Arthur Smith kind of asked point blank why his offense hasn't generated more explosive plays, hasn't gone downfield more, etc. And there's multiple ways a coordinator could react to a question like that. The first is to say, oh, it's on me, I've got to scheme it up better, etc., etc. I thought he gave a very telling answer. I thought he said without saying, yeah, my offensive line's not very good if you can't tell. Like, you think I want to be plotting down the field 3 yards at a time? No. I mean, he all but said, this is why we aren't doing X, Y, and Z. It's because we don't have time to throw the ball deep. We went deep on the first play of the season, and Aaron Rodgers got sacked. And this is why we can't get our tight ends as involved maybe as people would want. So I thought it was as close as you're going to see to a coach openly calling out players and just saying, hey, you, and you're not good enough right now, and it's hampering what we want to do. He's right, by the way, but I think it's just telling, that might be like telling on the inside how frustrated they are that that line has not coalesced into something more impressive so far.
Yeah, and that's a very scary take when they're faced with a Vikings team with a defensive line like what they have right now. Their interior D-line was ranking 3rd right now in pressure. So, I mean, it's still an early season, obviously, but that side of the ball for the Vikings is very scary. And yeah, you're right. I mean, I asked Arthur Smith, even with the secondary too, Isaiah Rodgers, incredible in that game. How are you going to combat that as an offense if you can't even get a run game going early? And obviously that needs to happen on Sunday. They have to establish a run in order to open up that pass game. They can't just automatically go to the pass. And again, if Jalen is a little shaky with that knee, it's a scary sight.
Well, the one other thing I would say about like this matchup that does not have me feeling great about the Steelers is this. If they were humming on all cylinders and 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers looked like 40-something-year-old Tom Brady the year the Bucs won the Super Bowl, where, yeah, he can't move, but then again, he's never been able to move, and everything's precise, everyone knows where they got to be, the quarterback is on target, he's still ripping throws at all levels of the field, I'd say, all right, like I like my chances here. But I think the kind of quarterback that could give the Vikings problems is somebody who can stay mobile and stay upright enough to make things happen off script and off schedule, because even the most well-conceived defense can break down if guys have to cover for 6 or 7 seconds. Well, we know Aaron Rodgers. I mean, we've all seen him attempt to run for first downs, keyword being attempt this year. The Steelers need to play on schedule. This is not old Aaron Rodgers where he was 31 years old and he's making throws that defy the laws of physics on the run. And if they aren't getting like into 2nd and 6, into 3rd and 3, I have very bad feelings about what's going to happen to this offense, because they're just not as much of an improvisational unit as maybe they were in Ben Roethlisberger's heyday, or even with Justin Fields last year.
Yeah, agree with you there. All right, guys, we're going to head to our first break. Give us a call, 412-575-2600. We want to hear from you guys. Welcome back. This is our Xfinity tweet of the night from Dan Zangrelli. Charlie Morton will start against his old team, the Pirates, for the Atlanta Braves on Sunday. In what is likely his last game, he'll serve as the opener for Chris Sale. It was a trade for Morton in '09 that opened the door for Andrew McCutchen's debut. So that's right, the Pirates just one more series of the season, and that'll put an end to this 2025 season. I know we'll all miss it so much. I mean, Mosey, is
Cassidy,
I
note and detect a bit of sarcasm and dryness in your delivery there. I couldn't help but notice that when you said we'll all miss it so much, you said it with about as much conviction as Russell Wilson said things when he was here. It has been, I will happily take your lead here. It has been, I think, a disaster season, and in any just baseball universe, Bob Nutting would be drawing up the letter that he would be sending to Ben Cherington saying, hey, thanks for 6 years. Goodbye. You're fired. You're done. And I'm not positive that that is going to happen. Don Kelly has not really been any better than Derek Shelton since he took over. This team lost their 90th game today, so they are not going to come even within a handful of games of their season win total last year. They could have won 76 3 years in a row if they had finished a little stronger. The point is here, they have one of the worst offenses in team history, one of the worst offenses I've seen in baseball, and I don't think, and most people don't think, with good reason, that despite anything they might say, they are going to make a proactive and financially significant effort to upgrade their lineup next year. In fact, it's what, September, hold on, I'll check my watch, 25th, 2025. I would be much more willing to bet that in about 6 months or so, 7 months, I'm talking about how their big hope for offense in 2026 is that Connor Griffin gets fast-tracked to the big club, and that, I don't know, maybe they have somebody come in on a small, very modest deal and outperform expectations. But it's a bummer to already know that like a Bo Bichette or somebody like that that's going to be a pending free agent is already, no doubt, out of their internal price range, and that we're probably going to get a lineup that looks a lot more like this year's than we all want it to when opening day arrives next year.
Yeah, just so unfortunate. There's really no silver lining in this one, or light at the end of the tunnel, I should say. All right, guys, if you tap your phone, scan the QR code, Penn West University, question of the night, will the defense be able to stop the Vikings offense on Sunday, plain and simple? Look, we talked about Arthur Smith in the offense to open the show. Terrell Austin also spoke today about his defense. And you know, it's cause for concern right now a little bit. Again, though, some of the starters have been out this past week. So some hope, good news that I did see on the south side today. Deshaun Elliott and Joey Porter Jr. were in practice today. They were listed as limited. So still questionable right now if they're going to play. But obviously that secondary, they're going to need as many weapons as they can get because they're going up against two extremely elite wide receivers. So we'll see. We'll see if this defense can stop the Vikings offense.
I'm not super, I would say, confident that they're going to just stuff them. Now, if the pass rush can get home and they can cause some havoc, I think Wentz, we know, is an athletic guy still, even though he's not a spring chicken anymore. He's, 8 or 9 years in the league, so he's just not going to be quite the same athlete. But I think if you pressure him, you can get that guy to make bad decisions, even in a Kevin O'Connell offense that is designed to help quarterbacks not make those bad decisions. Addison's a really good wide receiver, too. We discussed him last night. Justin Jefferson needs absolutely no introduction from me, you, or anyone else. And Jordan Mason's good. What has me worried, Cassidy, is this. I think Joey Porter Jr., my gut tells me, will not play in this game because he's rehabbing soft tissue. We know how finicky those injuries are. I mean, for the average person, pulling a hamstring or something is danger zone. You're out for weeks and you're not doing anything. For a football player, it's not that much different. Elliott has a better chance to play, but here's the thing. You have two corners that you need to do big work in this game. Jefferson, are you going to follow him with Ramsey? That makes your defense simpler to diagnose if Ramsey's not being used as a Swiss Army knife. Does anybody feel all that good about Darius Slay right now? I don't. And, I mean, Darius Slay has had an excellent career. The scheme might be leaving him out to dry a little bit, the deep crossers, stuff like that they haven't figured out. But I don't know. I don't know about you. I don't know about what the people out there listening are thinking or watching are thinking. But I don't love the matchup with these corners and those top two Vikings wide receivers if Wentz has time to diagnose and look and throw. Yeah,
it's very concerning. All right, let's go out to the phone lines. We have Bill in North Hills. Bill, what's going on?
Yes. Hey, hello, guys. My question is how come Mike Tomlin and the coaching staff throughout the week is not seeing how bad Broderick Jones and Mason McCormick and Troy Fontano is playing in practice? There's no way in the world that you could tell me that they don't see that with our pass rushers. We have some really good pass rushers, too, that they got to go up against throughout the week.
Bill, I would tell you though, like in practice, Bill, they do see it, but like you're not in a game situation there though.
You're not 100%.
T.J. Watt might be going against those guys and Herbig, and you're going to win a rep or not win a rep, but that's why it's practice. They see it, they know. I can assure you, if the whole conceit of the call there is why aren't they doing something? Why isn't Andrus Peat in there? Why aren't they going to backups across the board to send a message? They don't really have that many options. I think they've got to get this at least to the – I mean, this might be like Waterloo for Broderick Jones. I don't think it will be because Mike Tomlin, if you try to read between the lines, seems like he's trying to slow roll any kind of real public excoriation of Broderick Jones, I would say. But they just don't have that many options. I mean, go look around the NFL. And I'm not saying this to say, oh, everybody's got problems, but offensive line play, unless you're like the Detroit Lions or a handful of other teams, is pretty finicky in a lot of places. And so I think the Steelers are trying to exercise patience here, but I would complain if I were Bill in the North Hills. I'd be directing my anger at Pat Meyer right now. What are you getting paid for? It's like the old Office Space line. What would you say you do here, Pat? Like, you're supposed to be coaching these dudes.
Yeah, but at a certain point too, Chris, I mean, I think he is, and I don't think it's really like a technique issue or anything like that. I think also maybe at the end of the day, like, look, we said it in the beginning of the season, this offensive line is smaller. They're smaller guys. They're smaller framed. maybe they are just getting beat on these one-on-one matchups, or when they get double teamed, it's just too much, and Broderick Jones can't hold his own. I hate to say it, but like, I mean, he is smaller this year than he was last year, and maybe it's just a purely physicality matchup issue that's happening here. I mean, this offensive line, it would be great if it was like the Eagles and, you know, we had Lane Johnson out there blocking, but that's just not the case here. And you're right, there's no depth on this O-line either. So it's really all they got. They got to work with it. And Aaron also has to get the ball out quicker. I mean, we talked a little bit about it last night.
He's already getting it out super quick. That's the problem. I think everyone involved there would rather he be able to hold it a little longer and take shots. The most undersized guy on that line is Zach Frazier, and frankly, he hasn't had a great year so far either. None of them have. Sayamalu really, I don't think, has been that good. I think Jones and Fautanu are big enough and strong enough, like on a very base level. I know Jones, much was made of the weight loss and all this other stuff. I just think it is, I guess I would disagree a little bit. I think some of it is technique. Some of it is clearly like communication. I mean, you could go watch cut-ups of them, and you're not quite sure if you know the scheme they're trying to run. It doesn't look like they're all running the same thing. It doesn't look like they're all making the right checks. That is where coaching, to me, comes in huge. And I know one thing, you know, Mike Munchak is the name everyone likes to immediately go to here. Hank Fraley they had a chance to hire, and they didn't, and that guy now is doing great work with the Lions. I don't think these guys are being coached at a high level by Pat Meyer, and I just really don't get the sense that Pat Meyer is a difference maker. And if you're going to have a small coaching staff like the Steelers do, the guys that you do hire have to be really positive difference makers, and he's not.
Yeah, another note, too, that I want people to remember is, I mean, this is the first time we've seen the whole offensive line at somewhat full health working together through 3 games consistently like this. So, you know, there's that, too. All right, we're heading to our last break, guys. Give us a call, 412-575-2600. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to the Nightly Sports Call. We have about a minute left here, so I did want to touch on something else, Mueller. You know, before the season, all that drama with Cam Hayward wanting a bigger contract. Now here we are standing through the first 3 games. Do you think his play through these first 3 games warranted a bigger contract?
I think he's been their best player the last 2 games on that side of the ball, if we take it in sum. Yeah. And he got very little out of the Steelers here. So, yeah, I mean, I think he's, after 1 game where he was knocking off the rust, kind of shown himself to be the Cam Hayward that we all know he generally is. So, yeah, I think he probably had a point, but the way he went about it made him no new fans. Prediction, by the way, stays the same, 20-10 Vikings. Also, I think Team Europe's going to win the Ryder Cup. I'm very sorry to everybody.
All right, you heard it here, guys. Thanks for joining us tonight.